Hey everyone, it's Tori from Calypso Creative Planning and Book Journal Boss. I am here with a bonus book journaling video that I just really wanted to do for the book club, and I'm just sharing everywhere. And I love this book, so I'm really excited to share this with you. Did you notice I finally got around to updating the intro? And I love it. It looks so good. Okay, so this is a book journaling spread for Hunter's Moon by Melanie Gurenko. This is the second book in her new series, Destiny of a Vampire Princess. And I love it. I really love the first book, but the second book, Hunter's Moon, so much better. It is so good. So this is me convincing you to go read this series. It is so good. And I hope that this spread is not going to give away spoilers. Fingers crossed. I don't know. Go read it though, because the third book comes out in March. March 27th, I want to say. So what I did 27th. So what I did for this one is I started out with using just a black sticker and putting it on the page because I felt like, I don't know, it just seemed like a dark background would look really good with this book. Maybe it's because, you know, the moodiness of it, or because like the cover's white and it would just be like a really exact opposite. I don't know. Either way, I really like it. So I'm pulling pictures from the Pinterest board that I created as I was reading the book. And I don't know, sometimes whenever I create the Pinterest boards, I do like a combination of like while I'm reading the book, I'm going through and like pulling things if something just really sparks. But then sometimes after I finish the book, I go back and I add even more and I think, oh, well, this would be good, or this would be good. Or I go back through some of my aesthetic boards and see, okay, what else can I add? And one thing I did with this one is because with the first book, Blood Moon, I had like character visualizations that I did for that first book. So I went back to those from the first book and did like a search for similar ones, or like maybe it's even the same person just in like a different pose, because I really wanted to like be consistent with my character visual, and I think it works for this. I think so. Now, if you haven't read the first one, then I mean, this really isn't a spoiler, but like the main characters, she is the vampire princess and he is a werewolf alpha. And the first book, like you get, I don't know, it's like a mix of like mystery and suspense and like what's real, what's not, who the heck knows, and then some revelations. And then in book 2, we get to see, like it starts out going back in the past. And so you get like those moments that she was missing in the first book from like her memories. And so you get like kind of like you're playing catch up, and you find out what really was going on, what was the truth. And then it catches up and goes back to real time and then picks up from there. And it is just, it's very well done. And I just love the story. I love the characters. I don't know. It's just really good. So this is, once again, me just convincing you to go read this series. I'm like, I don't know, I sort of feel like I'm counting down the days for when the next one comes out, and I'm hoping it comes out like it. I signed up for the advanced copy, and so I want it now, okay? But I just got like 5 or 6 arcs in the past not even week, I think. So it's been a lot. I don't know. But okay. So this, okay, let me see. What all do you want to know for this without the obvious? Okay. Well, one thing, you've got to move the pictures out of the way, and you're going to see me move the whole background out of the way at one point because, you know, you can't really circle and resize if you got an image on top of images. But one bonus for you guys is that in this process of doing this as a screen recording, and then this video is pre-recorded and not live, is I got to cut out all of the craziness that this app was giving me. Like, we're talking ridiculous amount of stuff. There was weird things with the text. There's weird things with like colors and like things just not wanting to load. It was so weird. I don't know. But I really love this book and really love like the idea. And you'll see that as I'm building this, I only sort of know where I'm going with parts of it. As I started moving things around, I started getting a visual. And look, keep an eye on that vampire mouth right there. I lose it at some point and don't realize it till we're nearly all the way to the end. So I probably should have, like in hindsight, I should have put it up at the top with all the other images because I'm about to cover it up right here and then completely forget about it until nearly the end. So don't do that. Learn from me and don't do that. So for this, I knew that I wanted to pull in the luxury blues for like, you know, because the covers, like you've got that metallic blue look. So I wanted to pull in the luxury blue colors, but then I thought gold, because I don't know, they feel very written in the stars to me. So that was just kind of where I was going. So this is where I had to move the background out of the way. Just stuck it on the next page. It'll come back. It's fine. But that's a good way to like, you know, I can just change my text and pull things around and all of that. It just works. Just stick it out of the way. I know that I want it to be black, but I'll have to come back to it. So I had this idea since I knew I was going to pull in some gold. I wanted to pull in some of the gold luxury and I wanted to pull in some of the glowing zodiac stickers that I have. So that's where this gold bar is coming from. But I thought this would be a good, I don't want to say collage, more of like a photo banner situation going on here. So I'm going to resize these photos so that they can like line up and be all in one line. And I will say that I really like the new-ish resize feature for images that Goodnotes has going on, because originally like you just have the image tool and you're going like, if you try to resize like at a corner, it's going from the center out. But the new resize tool, which you're going to see me use here in just a second, it allows you to resize like this from like a corner or from an edge. So you can place, here we go. So you can place one image, which is what I'm doing here. And then I'm going to take the second one and I'm going to line it up with the top and use the resize tool and pull down at the corner and resize it so it lines up at the bottom. So with the image tool, you can't really do that, but with the resize tool, you can. And it's just so handy, especially when you're doing something like this. If I'm doing like a photo grid or something like that, this is extremely handy. I mean, you can, if you want to get super, super precise, you can take something like this to Procreate where you have like your snapping and all of that. But as much as I'm a huge perfectionist, and you guys should know this by now, I didn't want to do that. I wanted to just do it in Goodnotes. And because I spend a lot of time on my book spreads, I don't know, there's just something about it. It's okay if it takes me a long time. I don't mind because, I don't know, it's fun and it's relaxing. And this glitter sticker kept getting in my way. But it's fun and it's relaxing. And I totally need to do it this weekend because night before last, well, and last night too, I was dreaming in book journal visuals and stickers. And I don't know, I'm taking that as a sign that I need to do some book journaling. So now that the hubby is off Fridays and Saturdays, last Saturday we got to just chill and watch movies in bed and like read and relax. And I drew and stuff like that and played in my planner a little bit. I think this weekend I'm trying to, prepare to do that again. but I'm going to do some book journaling to catch up because I have a few spreads from January that didn't get done yet, that I really want to get those done. And then a couple from this month that I want to get done. And I'm not trying to do spreads for every single one. That's just too much. But okay, this is a fun little trick. So I'm using the freehand crop and I'm leaving the sides straight and I'm just doing like a jagged zigzag across the top and the bottom, and it looks like a torn little piece of paper. And I don't know, that's really cool. I like it. If you wanted to step that up a notch, you could pull that into Procreate and add some shadows or some like paper edges. But I was just going for a little simpler. So, and I think it works. It gets the point across. And has anyone else noticed this, some weirdness with the photo thing? Like you can't press and hold. Sometimes it just wants to like, just give you a photo. I don't know. It's very annoying. Goodness has been glitching a lot lately. I don't know what it is, but it has been glitching a lot. And ever since they added more touch features, like now you can, unless you're in the image tool, you can tap with your finger to touch a link and go to it. That's all well and good, except sometimes when I'm resizing an image, if the side of my hand hits the screen, I don't know why I'm rubbing my hand, like you guys can see that, but if the side of my hand hits the screen, it's like it does this weird, I don't know, like glitch, like it's confused. Am I going with the Apple Pencil? Am I going with the hand? Apple Pencil? Hand? I don't know. And it's honestly annoying. So I don't know if anyone else is having that problem, but it's driving me berserk. I may get one of those things like those artist gloves. You know what I'm talking about? Where it covers like your pinky and your ring finger and then just like the side of your hand. Maybe your thumb too. Or maybe it goes just under your thumb. I don't know. And then it goes down your wrist. I mentioned that to the hubby and he's like, babe, you can't do that with your fingernails. So I'm going to have to search for a fingerless option, if that even exists. If not, I guess I'm going to have to do some surgery on the glove. I don't know. But if I'm doing more work in Procreate and then this weird glitchiness in GoodNotes, it might be worth it to get one. I don't know. Am I just looking to spend money on things? Maybe. I don't know. Okay, so this little part, this was giving me like a little bit of a head scratcher because I wanted it to fit all just right. And I wanted it to fit on the blue, but then I was like, okay, let's do bigger. And this is where the resize tool just is so freaking handy because I can line them up. I can line up images like together so they're stacked and then you resize all three of them at the same time. Oh, that's just really handy. And for this, I did not want to resize this whole bar. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to tweak the spacing a little bit. And if I was using like a dot grid page, then I would probably be tempted to line those up on the dot grids, which I've done before. I probably have a screen recording of doing that recently too, actually. But I decided just to eyeball it. I mean, that works. Just eyeballing it. Okay, so remember when I said I wanted to pull in some gold stuff? Like I just really had it in the back of my mind that I wanted to pull in some of my glowing zodiac stickers because I don't know, like I said, it's a fantasy book. And like, I don't know, these two, they're just meant to be. And like, no matter what. Okay, so it was like, to me, it just felt very like written in the stars, right? So I felt like the zodiac stuff would work. I don't know. And when I say zodiac, I don't mean Zodiac Academy. I mean like the collection from the shop. So if that makes sense. Okay, so I pulled the background back in and I always end up resizing something because it's like, oh, it wasn't there before and I just noticed it or it was slightly off or I don't know. I'm too much of a perfectionist. And when I went back and was watching the screen recording, I was like, oh, to the ridiculous levels. I think I cut some of it out because I resized like outlines and stuff and like, come on, this is ridiculous. It's okay. I mean, it is what it is. I accept who I am type of thing. Okay. So this is my trick for really, I don't know, I guess emphasizing the photos that I use here. It just, I don't know, it gives it a more like finished look, I think, to use the shape tool and then just draw the shapes. Now this, part of it disappears because it's white at the top of the picture, but that's okay. And look, the text just changed by itself. I didn't do that. I didn't tell it to do that. Why did it do it? I don't know. this is me freaking out thinking I did it. But I had some really weird text stuff going on with this. I mentioned that at the beginning, but I'm talking about like it was duplicating my text. It was like I tried to move my text and it would duplicate it, and then I would like cut it and then try to delete the duplicate, and then it would like freeze up and I had to like close the whole thing and then open it back. It was a pain in the ass, and I don't know why. Okay, I don't know why, but I really wanted to do this page, so I was just like pushing through, and I was trying to push through on this page before my battery died on my iPad, and also before it got too late in the day, because like I was doing this at like the timestamp up there says like 9:58. So I was doing this in the morning, and I actually did this spread on release day because I just knew that I just wanted to share it because I just love the book so much. And I just thought it'd be perfect to do it on release day, right? Like, happy release day, Melanie, type of thing. Okay, on a side note, behind the scenes moment here, I keep having to pause the narration on this because I start coughing again because, of course, the cough is still not gone away from where I got the flu twice. So I just popped a cough drop, and it was just sitting on my desk, and honestly, I don't even know how old it is. Is that okay? Is that safe? I don't know. So if you hear weirdness, it's out-of-date cough drop, but it's okay. We are persevering. So, okay, so this is the star ratings, and I don't know what my deal is lately, but I like layering the star rating stickers. I don't know, there's something about it. I like the look of it. The problem is with this book in particular, I could not decide where I wanted the star ratings to go. Like, should they go over here? Should they go over there? Should they go up here? So then I had this idea of what if I took this gold color and did like, I don't know how to describe it other than like in my head I'm thinking like a little flag banner drop down thing situation for the star ratings. I don't know, that's kind of where I was going. And I ended up changing this to a different color because I don't know, my direction started to shift a little bit about what I wanted, but I mean, I think this works because it doesn't block the cover and it's on there, and it kind of emphasizes that this is one of my 5-star reads. I don't know. I mean, it works. Is it 100% the most beautiful star rating you've ever seen? Probably not. Is that a thing? I don't know, but I don't know. I think it works. Especially when we get further on and you see how I pulled everything together. So this is the part that I guess probably takes the longest, is dealing with the quotes. And like, I always like to reference the book and like how the quotes are, because I don't know, I like it to be particular. And like if it's broken up into paragraphs, or, even if it's just a sentence or two, I like to have the book with me the whole time. It's really handy because it's right here on my Kindle app. But I like to reference those so I can keep it legit or whatever. Back in the day, I used to copy the quote or the highlights like one at a time and pull them in, and then I was going back and forth between like the PDF of the export, and then the journal, and then the PDF, and then the journal, and then the PDF, and then the journal. And it's like, it just took forever. So with this method, I copied all of the highlights all in one thing, and I pop it in here, and I go ahead and set my text. I didn't show this part, but I have my text set as like the default settings of what I wanted it to be. I guess the reason I didn't show that is because it was what I was using in my planner that day. But that way, whenever I cut a highlight out of like the big group and start a new text box and paste it, it's going with like the style that I've already done. So you'll see me save as default, right? And then you cut it, and we go to do another text box, paste and match style. And so then it just matches it, and it's perfectly fine. So I feel like this, like I said, this part feels like it probably takes the longest because one, you never really know how many quotes you have until you pull them in. And some books have way more than I ever would have thought, right? And then others, you get to the end of the book and you had 2 highlights. That, I think that's how it was for the first book in this, because I blew through it so fast. And then I had 2 highlights. So that page is very different. But with this, you can see here that I use my the Kindle Color Soft, so I'm highlighting in color. And one, I did not realize that I would love that as much as I do. It is so good. So I find myself highlighting in color. Like if it's the main female character, I'll highlight in pink. If it's the main male character, I'll highlight in blue. If it's someone else speaking, like that first quote, you didn't see it, but it's in orange because it was his brother that said it. So it's in orange. And then if it's like a word that maybe I want to look up the definition because I didn't know the word, or if it's some other reference or something, or a note or something like that, I'll highlight it in yellow. So that's just a little behind the scenes of how I do that. But it makes it a lot easier visually to go back and get the highlights when it's like, oh, this person's this and this person's that. So what I ended up doing is I decided that since I only had one quote from another person and not one of the main characters, let's make that in this yellow gold color. And so I'm swapping this out, and then I decided the main female character, her quotes would be in white. I don't always match up the colors of like the blocking with the characters, but for this instance, I think it worked really well. I usually like to have a mix of, highlighted with color boxes, and some of them just like floating around like you can see up there. It's, it's loose. So it's like a mix, but this one in particular is like maybe like a few paragraphs, but I just took the verbal parts out because it was just, I don't know, swoon-worthy and romantic, and I loved it. And so I'm going to layer up those in a way that they sort of match, but at the same time, it's not all one big thing. And you'll see another example in here where it's like a full conversation, where it's like she said, he said, she said, but it's all one thing. And I like to group those together. So this has got a good mix of examples, I think, in the spread. So this is what happens when you change colors. You have to swap out things. It's okay. It works. Still works. But the white looks so much better up there. It just does. And the gold looks good for his brother's quote, and then like accents, but I like it more of like the less overall. I don't know. Does that make sense? It does to me. It does in my head, but that's a scary place. So let's ignore that. I can't believe how much I actually was able to cut out of this recording. I want to go back and look at the original. I don't know if anybody else notices this, but when I do screen recordings of, me making a spread, when I go back and look at it, I always feel like the recording is slower than it was in real life. But I don't know if that's just me being in denial that it takes me as long as it does. I would really like to know your thoughts on that. If anyone would like to comment and let me know. Because I used to record the screen all the time whenever I was doing videos, because in the beginning of my YouTube channel, that's just how I did videos, because I did not have the internet strength to do live streams, and live streams are so much easier because there's less editing, but at the same time I really do like editing, but I don't know, I always feel like the screen recordings are slow. Are they slow, or am I in denial? I don't know, but the original time for this video was 57 minutes. But keep in mind, like this one with the little intro and the little intro video thing is 40 minutes and 27 seconds long. Yes, I can see that right here. So I did speed up my video clip by, I think it was like 1.2. So it's not a lot. I didn't speed it up a lot. So, I mean, if you look at the time lapse, that's like times 7, because that's really fast. But it's still like I was able to cut out a decent amount of stuff and sped it up a little bit, but 57 minutes. Did I really spend 57 minutes on this? Honestly, probably. I think I'm just in denial when it comes to how long it actually takes me. I don't know. Does that mean I'll stop? No, of course not. Okay. So this is a good example of where it's like one of those conversations where it's like she said, he said, she said. And so I like to group those together. So you're going to see me do this white shape, and I'm going to stretch it out and put his quote inside of that. But I'm going to also reference the book so I can see where the paragraph starts are. Because once again, I like keeping it true to the book, because then it just has like that feel. I don't know. And if you're ever doing this and you start looking like, or start questioning, like, how do you know how much room or what fits where? Honestly, I just kind of guess at it. Sometimes it works out great. Other times, not so much. I do end up going back and resizing this box to make a little bit more room on the side. But the good thing about digital is that you can do that. I can't imagine doing these type spreads in a paper planner. Like I used to be a paper planner. I can't imagine doing it because I move stuff around so much. There was one spread that I did fairly recently that I had so many highlights. Like I never would have dreamed that I would have so many highlights, but I did. And so I ended up having to, you start putting things down and you move them around and everything. I had to go back and change the font size for everything and change the spacing and move things around multiple times to get everything to fit. It's a very full page. Very full page. That was for Miss Sunrise by Lane O'Neill. I had so many highlights. I don't know. Speaking of highlights, drop in the comments what you like to highlight, because I'm always curious. Like, do you highlight things that are meaningful, are funny, are, or do you highlight the spicy things that the characters say? Like, what do you highlight? I'm always curious. I also want to know what, like, the people who do the annotation for like physical books and they put all the little stickies in there. Like, what are you sticking? Like, what are you bookmarking there? I'm very curious. So I love to compare like what I highlight versus what other people highlight, because I just want to know, like, why did you highlight it? Like, what is your reasoning? Because obviously you have a reason, otherwise you wouldn't have highlighted it. But like, what makes you highlight something? What makes it special to you enough to highlight it? Sometimes I highlight too much, sometimes not enough. Like I said, the first book in the series literally was 2 highlights because I just blew through it so fast. And I get to the end of some books and I didn't highlight anything. And I was like, well, I know there was some meaningful shit in there, but I didn't mark it. I like to do funny stuff and meaningful stuff. And if it's just, like sometimes you get a book and it's like, it's just something very wise that they say, like you should remember, and like for your real life. Those are things I like to highlight too. Here's a little, behind the scenes of pulling photos for this book. This bridge doesn't exactly match some of the other visuals that I pulled, but like there's several moments in this book where they are standing on the bridge at the fort and they are talking, and I don't know, so I just knew that I had to have a bridge in here. But if you look at some of the other photos, like the fort, you see there's a couple of photos down at the bottom on the left and the right. That is the fort. Dude, that exists in real life in Poland. And I did not know that until I started looking up forts, and I was thinking, castle type of fort, like that's kind of how it's described. But never once thought of looking up, like, is this a legit location in real life? I was just, I had this visual in my head. And then I remember seeing like a post, like after I had finished reading the book, I saw a post on Melanie's Instagram, and it was like this castle type of fort looking structure in like the background of, I think it was maybe like a quote or something from the book. And I was like, oh shit, is it real? Is that what she's visualizing? So then I started looking it up, and I think I Googled it first and then went back on Pinterest and looked it up. And it is a legit fort that is mentioned in the book, and it is in real life in Poland. So I thought, okay, well, I'm going to switch out these other castle type images for this. And I don't know, I just really like it. And I thought that was an interesting thing, that sometimes, there's inspiration from like real places, even though the story is not real or anything like that, or events or whatever. Sometimes locations are real, and this is one of those. And I just thought it was really cool. So I just had to share that with you guys. So if you're looking up things, keep that in mind. Like, it's different when it's fantasy, like this, but there's other times when I'm looking up something for a book and it's set in Seattle, or they visit Seattle or something. So I will specifically do a Pinterest search for Seattle to go along with the visual that's in my head. And I'm never trying to get 100% like, oh, like this is how this place or this person is described in the book, because a lot of times you can't get super specific, but I think it's more important to go with the visual that you see in your head whenever you're reading. And you know what? That brings me to another point. Okay. So I've been seeing more and more videos about this on TikTok, and I'm just curious. Okay. So apparently when people read, there are some people that when they read, they can visualize the story like it's a movie. Like, you can hear voices, you can see places, you can see the characters and whatever, you can see the events. And then other people read and it's just words. They're just reading words and they get the story, but it's just words. It's not like visuals to go along with it. So I'm curious. Drop it in the comments. Which one are you? And I may have asked some people in the book club this before. I may have mentioned it. I don't know. But I visualize it like it's a straight up movie in my head. So now that I've started doing Pinterest boards to go along with these books, it just, I don't know, I guess it just brings it to a whole nother level, and I love it. So I'm just curious what everyone else does, or whatever. Like, do you see anything at all? I don't know. I'm very, very, very curious. Okay, so here's a little bit of that text stuff. You can see how it doubled up there. I don't know why. But this is just a minor example because it was so much. It was ridiculous, the amount. And I don't know why I resized that box, because I resized it again. This is the perfectionist in me. It can be very annoying. But this is like we're getting to the end of this. So I'm like moving things around to make things fit. I mentioned this before about that vampire mouth photo. I still have not noticed that it is gone yet. I'm about to, because I realized, I want a representation of his wolf and her vampire side. But then I'm like, wait, where is it? I know I collected it. I know I had something, but then I have to unbury it. It's a whole thing. It was a whole thing. But this is another good example of like the beauty of doing this digitally, is that you can move things around. You can resize things. You can crop the photos. And I'm always a little scared of over cropping or cropping too soon, but I shouldn't be, because the Pinterest board is right there. I can just pull it back in. It makes no sense. Is this where I realized the photo was missing? I don't think I've realized it yet. It's somewhere when I'm doing this that I realize, oh shit, the photo's missing. Because I was like thinking, okay, this can go in the middle and maybe that can work. But then I was somewhere in here, I realized it, and I have to move everything out of the way. Well, not everything, but a good chunk of stuff I have to move out of the way in order to get it. Because it's under this photo strip down here at the bottom. And so at this point, there's like a photo at the back and then two photos on top of it. See, this is where I realized it. Okay. So I'm like, how can I get it without disturbing everything? Where is it? Because I couldn't remember where exactly it was, but there it is. You can see it peeking in between those two. So now I've got to move everything back. What I should have done is cut that photo and then undo, and then just paste the photo, and then there would be an extra one underneath. But I, for some reason, didn't think to do that. That would have been easier than trying to line these up exactly like it was before, because it's a little off. But it's okay. I tweaked it and it's fine. And it worked out in the end. But just try not to lose your photos because it can be a pain in the ass. And I kept struggling with this night sky photo. I really wanted that in there somewhere. I'm not entirely thrilled with where it is. But, it works. I was trying to space these out so that they fit, and they do. It works, but I don't know. I'm not 100% satisfied with placement here. But it's not terrible. But I do see a little perfectionist moment where it's like, oh, this should be up just a little bit. And then, oh, we can resize. We can shift. And it's the whole thing, y'all. It's a little much. I can be a little much. I admit that. That's okay. But I love these books so much when I make these pages that I can't not do them justice, right? Okay, so everything's in here. Now it's just about the extra added little decorations. So I'm going to pull from the luxury set, the celestial set, and the zodiac set. And I think, I don't know, there's the little bits here and there. Just, does it need it? No. Do I want it? Yes. Is it fun? Uh-huh. It just adds like little pops of, I don't know, accent, pizzazz. I don't know what you'd call it. But I loved this sticker because it was blue and it had the moons. It just felt very appropriate for this. So I knew when I started, coming up with ideas for this page to go to this set. There's a black one in the black and gold celestial. So either one would have worked. But since I was going with the black background, the blue one seemed like the best way to go. And then these are the glowing stickers I mentioned earlier. I knew I wanted to use these because, once again, written in the stars and all that. And, werewolves, moon, all that kind of stuff. There's even like a moment in there. I won't spoil anything, but it was a beautiful, dangerous, courageous moment in the book. I don't know. I would read this again. I'll tell you that. I would read this again. Even like knowing what I know now. Because like in the first book, there's stuff that you don't know. There's stuff happening that like she loses a good chunk of time in her memories. And like, so she doesn't know. So you don't know. And so when you get to the second book, that's when you start finding out like what was missing. So, all is revealed. So even with that, like I would read it again. It's a good series, good book. Ugh, I can't wait to know what happens in book 3. I want it now. I mean, I can't right now because I got so many arcs that I need to read. February is a crazy month for arcs for me, which is semi-unintentional. Is that a thing? I mean, I guess it is, but so this is just, we're down to the last parts of this and I'm just adding decorations here and there. And, I feel like this is something that like, it's not necessary, but I don't know, it just feels like it adds a little something to the pages, I don't know. Just a little extra to pull it all together. And who doesn't like a little sparkle? Sparkle. Oh, this is where I pulled this gold in and I thought, I don't know why I like this symbol, but I thought it'd be cute up there. But then it just blends in with that gold sticker. So I'm like, nope, let's not do that. But then I thought, oh, there's a blue one. So let's go grab the blue one from the luxury blue set. And that'll go with the blue moon. See, look, my battery was dying. I'm down to 10%. I don't know if you can see the little symbol up there. When I'm trying to finish this, I'm like down to 10%. I'm like, I've got to hurry up and do this and plug this in. I couldn't plug it in while I was doing this because then I would have to sit all the way to one side of my desk and it's just really uncomfortable. So I was like trying to hurry. Let's finish this last part. We're almost there. And of course I had to include a heart because I don't know. This, I love them and they love each other. And I did the little white outline. The shape tool does not work on this, by the way. You have to just draw really slowly to trace over it. And I think I did fairly decent. I think I did pretty good. I think this is the last one, the last little sticker, yeah, that one. Yeah. Like I'm talking to myself here doing this. I don't know. I think this is the last sticker. And I just love this page. I love this book. And I feel like seeing it, I feel like should make you want to read this book. Okay? It should make you want to read this book. So go read the series. Highly recommended. That's it. I'm out. I'll see you next time.